Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come for the Bellator main event of the evening.
Current welterweight champ Douglas Lima and the winner of the World Grand Prix moves up to challenge for the vacant middleweight belt. He'll be taking on former middleweight king Gegard Mousasi. We'll dissect that matchup as well. Leah McCourt shines as she gets the win in her own backyard, Dublin's 3 Arena. Will Nemkov be the man to dethrone champ Ryan Bader? We'll take a look at that matchup. And lastly, what's going on in the Bantamweight division? We'll take a look at possible matchups for the vacant title. That and much, much more as Bellator MMA presents The Dose.
Friends, before we get into our episode, here's an important message from Bellator President Scott Coker about our Bellator 241 show.
We made the very difficult decision to cancel Bellator 241 at the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. We're never going to put ourselves in a situation where health and safety does not come first. That's the utmost priority for this company. We are going to have these fights made up in the future. We are going to continue the tournament. As you guys know, we're all under quarantine right now. When that quarantine ends and the government lets us know we can come back, we'll be back to putting on these fights. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay at home, be with your family. Scott Coker here. Thanks.
Hi everybody, welcome inside our little home. Jay Glazer, joined by our ambassador of Kwan, Robin Black. How are you, big dog?
Good,
doing
brother,
good?
good.
I love when we get to sit down and just dissect everything Bellator. And what better way to start off with Bellator 239. We saw Ed Ruth, very storied wrestler, got beat up from wrestling. We've always wanted to see him wrestle against Yaroslav Amosov. Amosov is the quietest 23-0 fighter in the history of anything at all.
It's really insane. He is really one of these guys that's going to be difficult for anybody to fight. When he can beat Ed Ruth in Ed Ruth's arena in the wrestling, and you look at that first minute, and it really sums up the whole fight. It's a little microcosm of that whole thing. Ed comes in on the low single, tries to fight his way up to the thigh. He gets rejected by Amosov, who ends up throwing Ed Ruth on the ground. And then he started beating him up through the fight to penalize him for even daring to take him down. That was a huge performance by Amosov.
He bullied Ed Ruth. You don't see anybody bully Ed Ruth.
Nah, man. Ed Ruth is one of these guys as well. You're going to see him in the title picture for many, many years. Listen, that was only Ed Ruth's 10th professional fight. But to get a victory like this over Ed, we all know what Ed can do. And to get a victory like this over Ed, move to 23-0, I mean, come on. People better be talking about him.
Yeah, where is he now? We just obviously completed our welterweight World Grand Prix. But where is he ranked now in the welterweight picture?
I mean, he could fight at 23-0. You just beat Ed Ruth. Yeah. Got to be top 5, top 3.
Top 3, right?
Definitely. Anybody who says that he is not, we reject that premise, you and I. This man is a top 3 fighter.
Well, there was another guy who was a rising star in Terrell Fortune, and he ran into an old crafty veteran in Tim Johnson. And Tim Johnson's the type of guy, man, you go in there, he has some of those old dog tricks. You never know when they're going to come out, and they came out on Terrell Fortune.
Yeah, man. Congrats to Tim Johnson.
Love Tim Johnson.
Yeah, man. This is a victory he should be proud of for the rest of his life.
I'm a big Tim Johnson guy.
Yeah.
Tim Johnson actually works with our MVP vets in Las Vegas. So he spends his time every Friday night working with our combat vets and former athletes in transition. And, on the side, by the way, he figures out a way to knock people out.
Yeah, to knock out rising stars. I mean, Bellator right now has a couple of the top heavyweights in the world, top heavyweight prospects on planet Earth. Big Steve, Big Tyrell. These are two of the top prospects. Tim was able to beat this guy. Tyrell, you saw how good he looked too. And what Tim did was he used that veteran savvy against him. Tyrell started to read Tim's attacks. Tim was coming in behind a left shot and a right hook. Tyrell went to reach for that right, but old veteran crafty Tim Johnson, some people would say it's a mistake to throw the punch from here. Tim turned that into a little detail. It's not a bug, it's a feature. And he came up over the top and he took this guy out. Tyrell is going to be a future heavyweight champion, and he will grow from this. It's an important experience for him. And he has Tim Johnson to thank for that. But congrats, Tim. That was a big win, man.
Hey, there was another win on this card that you liked also in a bantamweight.
Keith Lee, this guy's, I've been commentating his fights since he was 19, since he turned pro. And you look at how, sure, he wins his Bellator debut. He's still a young kid. That's awesome. But it was how he won it. There's a flying knee straight into the mount, to the ground, to the mount. And then later sets up up off a hook to throw a kick that he ends up catching him on the knee. It was real nuanced and smart and modern. Man, Bellator has a killer bantamweight division right now.
All right, let's go to our Bellator Dublin card now. There was some cancellations due to injury, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But as a result, we kind of had a little history here. Leah McCourt, she took on Judith Ruiz, and that is a first.
Yeah, I mean, the first woman to headline in the 3 Arena in Dublin. And, I mean, Conor McGregor headlined there. Like, this is a big venue. There's a big venue for fighting in the great country of Ireland.
She also had to fight through some things during the fight.
Yeah, I mean, in round 1, the definitive moment isn't some big punch she lands or a big kick she lands. She's in an armbar. Josh Thompson was doing an awesome job commentating, and he called it the hitchhiker. She's caught in that armbar, and they call it the hitchhiker because you turn your thumb and then you start moving towards it. She walks up on the fence and fights her way through that. You could tap that night. It's all over. The pressure's gone. You go to the back. Oh, Mom, Dad, I tried. She didn't do that. She stayed in there and she fought through it. Fighting can be an incredibly inspiring thing, and she was a very inspiring fighter that night.
You talk also just about how much traction it got. Cyborg is watching on with fans, and this is her 3rd Bellator win, but this just took on a life of its own.
Yeah, and hey, we all would love to think that when it comes down to it, we are capable of big things under pressure, but we don't know that, and she didn't know that, and now she does.
It was like a Disney movie for her. It was like a feel-good Disney story.
Yeah, and it doesn't always turn out that way, so good for her.
Right, well, this wasn't a Disney story. This was more of a nightmare for somebody else, the guy who fought Ricky Bandejas. I mean, that was a highlight, been seen everywhere. He seems to have an awful lot of good luck out there in Ireland getting on the highlight reel.
Yeah, they're calling Ricky the SBG killer. Sakuraba was the Gracie killer, This kid, he set a trap, actually. There's a beauty in that. He sets things up and he starts drawing your attacks and then gathering information, downloading the data. He got his kick caught, but he started to anticipate that was going to happen. When the kick is caught, now he leans into it with the knuckles, and he pressures off the body, connects his entire tissues, his entire body to connect in such a way to generate force through those knuckles with the foot jumping back to land that shot. A lot of people noticed that shot. It's a rare shot, but it wasn't a fluke. That was a very, very technical and biologically sound attack.
Oh, but the hammer fist after that wasn't technical. That was just, that was out of a cartoon.
Yeah, I know. You look at the footage, and it does look like cartoon speed.
Right,
but that's how fast that guy. Ricky is somebody to watch, man.
Right. Another big name in that card, Brett Primus. He took on Chris Bungard. Big win there for Primus.
Yeah, and it was a nice one, too.
Yeah. There's a log jam, if you will, in that lightweight division, especially also because our champ, what's he doing with that lightweight belt in Pitbull? But you have a bunch of guys who are just kind of sitting and waiting, and Primus is one of them.
Yep.
Break down the lightweight division for me right now.
Michael Chandler, one of the greatest lightweights in history, sitting there waiting, and man, does he want that one back. The rubber match with Patricio, he wants that one bad, and Mike has earned that right. Ben Henderson, sitting there waiting, one of the true greats at lightweight.
Miles Jury sitting there also.
Miles Jury, just coming off a nice win, and then Brent Primus. Now, Brent had 2 fights with Chandler. He won one, and Chandler beat him the second time. All those guys got to scrap it out right now. Patricio is busy over in the featherweight world, and these guys got to scrap it out and earn their way to the top. But Primus, he's had some nice submissions, man. Go Plata that he landed the fight before this one, and then this one a neck crank. One direction here, the other direction with the body lock, and just about took that man's head off.
Bellator 242, huge card. Huge card.
Yes, sir.
Gotta love this. 2 title fights on the line. And let's go to another one of our champs here. Ryan Bader, who's, by the way, ex-training partner of Jay Glazer. Before I trained with Ryan, I was 6'3".
Right.
Now I'm 5'7" because he's damaged all my discs. I'm telling you, he's really the guy to blame for it all. He fights Nemkov, Vadim Nemkov, who's 11-2, who's beaten 3 world champs of his own right here. But Ryan Bader, listen, the thing that's changed about Ryan Bader is he was all world in that training room.
Yep.
And then he was kind of nerve up a little bit when he went out there and fought. Those days are over. He goes out there just as relaxed and mean and nasty and violent as he does in the training room. I don't know if there's a dude on the planet right now, I'm saying this right out there, who could beat Ryan Bader when he's on right now. And a lot of people are going to go, are you out of your mind? Yeah, I might be, but he is on as good a streak as we've seen.
He is that hybrid, man. Athlete and martial artist. He's a super athlete, an incredible genetic athlete, and he's developed that physicality, the attributes, the physical attributes. And you're right, the mentality is now there. He gets out of his own way, and he just lets that fight unfold. And really, for me, what is so beautiful about it, we talk about, he's knocking out King Mo.
He's knocking out people with lead hooks.
Yeah, that's right. And then you wonder, what is it about? People want to ask about the power. Really, to me, it comes from the wrestling. That thread of the wrestling is so real that you're so concerned with dealing with the fact that he's lowering his level to come in on you, and we've seen that against Fedor. It's down. Fedor just has to freeze for one moment, and that corkscrew hook up over the top. Did it with King Mo as well. It is that hybrid, the true hybrid nature of blending wrestling and striking into true free fighting.
A lot of guys who have great wrestling should learn a lot from this, because A can set up B, B can set up A, right? So now you have to worry about his hands. Oh my God, I got to stand up here, and that obviously opens up the shot. Or I have to worry about the shot, and that's going to bring someone's hands down, and you can, set that up for the hands to come over the top. He really is becoming a very complete fighter. If Nemkov, though, is going to make me eat my words here, what's he going to have to do?
First of all, my brother, it is possible. We might be sitting here in June, and you'll be literally having a plate of your words and just mowing down, put a little milk, a little sugar, and eat those things. Because as I started to analyze Nemkov and his moments, this guy is somebody that is sophisticated and very difficult to deal with. When he fought Liam McGeary, they say that sometimes about the great athletes, is when you can find one technique or one tactic or a small menu of attacks and use that to take a guy apart. You look at the Liam McGeary fight, leg kick after leg kick after leg kick, walking him against the fence to line him into the leg kick, kicking the leg when he's on the ground, kicking out the leg he's standing on until he damaged the biology and ended that fight. And then in that fight with Linz, it was all about one straight right hand, which he set up by tracking Linz's movement and adapting ever so slightly with a little step and a little pivot to line that thing up. Very, very smart, very dangerous. This is the best light heavyweight fight we can make in the world right now.
Look, we also have a middleweight title on the line here, and the reason why is because there was an unfortunate set of circumstances here. And Rafael Lovato Jr., who was our middleweight champ, had some unfortunate news come his way, which he revealed on his Instagram. And man, you never know when life takes that turn. You just don't try and figure life out. And he and I were texting a lot about this, man. Just don't try and figure out the why this happened. You just got to use this in your next step of life to somehow move forward. He's already been a champ. Nobody can take that from him.
That's right. May we all be so lucky that when we're faced with a challenge that we have to choose a different fork in the road, that we've been to the top.
Yes.
So, he's a wonderful guy, an inspiring athlete. And it's also beautiful to see somebody. He's healthy with his family. So he says, my future is more important than taking that risk, even though he loves expressing himself as a martial artist. So it's a very beautiful thing to see him make that call at the right time.
Right.
But it's really important to say, he says he's not retired.
Right.
He's just taking a break indefinitely, because these things all change. The body is a very wild thing. The important part is he's healthy and he's happy and he's proud of his accomplishments, and that's where he's going to be. Who knows? We might see him in there again.
He will forever be a fantastic, great, and beautiful ambassador for the sport of mixed martial arts and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And because of this, we do have, like I said, a title fight on the line. We have our welterweight champ, Douglas Lima, moving up to take on the guy who Lovato took the belt from in Gegard Mousasi.
And just think about that for a second. Like, how cool is it right now?
That's a great matchup.
Yeah, like the time in Bellator right now where Lovato can move and then in can step Lima versus Gegard. It's thinking about it. You think about that fight over and over. There's millions of different ways it can go. Lima interrupts you better than almost anyone. A lot of times we talk about a counter. Something comes and you counter it, you answer it. Lima will interrupt the conversation with his attacks. That's what he did against MVP. Remember that? One of the great highlights of all time.
Absolutely.
MVP is throwing that fight, timed it perfectly, kicked it out, and then landed the bink on him. And then Gegard is one of the most incredible, smooth, flowing martial artists. When he's on, he's dangerous.
Yes.
Watch for him, and yes, Lima is the real thing on the ground. He defended Rory's takedowns. There's no automatic. Everybody's always wanted to take him down.
That's the big thing, defend his takedowns. Lima's problem in the past thing was that he would feel comfortable sitting in guard, and the fight would just get out of his hands. He cannot do that against Gegard.
No, he can't. You look at some Gegard footage, and Gegard will trap the arm and hammer away at you, or he'll get on top in a brutal mount and control you with the legs and the hips, like he did with Rory. So you don't want to be there, and you're absolutely right. At one time, Lima had that mindset of a dual specialist. I'll beat you up on the feet, or I'll submit you on the ground. Modern fighting, that is not the way. That is not the way. You do not surrender that takedown. You stay engaged through that entire thing. That's what he'll need to do against Gegard. Gegard will be bigger. Right. Gegard will be stronger. Gegard is one of the few guys with as much experience, as much focus and intensity. These two fights on the same night, I feel offended at our good fortune.
Gegard's one of the best who's ever done it, but Lima probably has the hardest kicks of anybody in the welterweight division. Let's see if he has the hardest kicks in the middleweight division. Might.
Yeah, true enough.
There's a lot of guys who can throw that lumber.
He is a 200-pound man who works his way down to 170. Now he will be a 200-pound man working his way down to 185. It is certainly possible he hits even harder.
You know what I want to see? Hey, Scott Coker, can we get a middleweight World Grand Prix? I'm calling it out right there. Somebody get the boss on the line. I want to see a middleweight World Grand Prix. How great could that be? Well, first, obviously, these guys got to get through each other. There's another division that's kind of in flux right now, and that's the Bantamweight division. You talked about one of them earlier in Keith Lee, but talk about the names that are in the mix right now between Patrick Mix, Ricky Bandejas, Juan Archuleta, who's the biggest bantamweight in the history of bantamweights, and Sergio Pettis, who had a great debut for us in Bellator here a couple months ago.
Yeah, man. Ricky Bandejas, you know, and actually, Ricky is one of these guys you'd like to see get that shot right now. Yes, Patrick Mix defeated him. That's another one of these guys. Patrick Mix, man, he's finishing everybody. And he's winning, you know, never mind every minute. He's winning every phrase of 15 seconds of combat in these fights. So the Bellator Bantamweight division right now, Patrick Mix, you got Ricky Bandejas, you got Gallagher over there in Ireland, you got
Who should fight for the belt? Come on, don't tell me old Matthew go in the bag and mix them up. Give me a matchup.
Them all to fight each other, of course, but
I already called Scott Coker for one thing. Now you got to tell me the other thing.
I think Archuleta has earned that right, and I think some of these other guys should fight to do it, but I don't know that that's what we're going to see. Sergio Pettis made a real statement. Bandejas
against Archuleta?
I'll take them all, Jay.
No, you got to put you on the spot. It's the dose.
Okay, Ricky
it's not
Bandejas.
The medium.
Ricky Bandejas rematch with Juan Archuleta, but don't count on that.
Brother, appreciate it, man. Thank you, dude.
Pleasure,
you like
man.
that? Had a good time, brother. Folks, make sure you hit like and subscribe, or check us out on the Bellator app. For Robin Black, our Bellator Master of Quan, I'm Jay Glazer. This has been Bellator MMA presents The Dose.